What's going on, everybody? I am super pumped and excited about this Dynasty Surge. I'm going to give you guys just like 1 minute for people to hop on, see that we're live, get you guys in here. I want to make sure, a lot of times on these live videos, you can't see the comments and whatnot. So I loaded up my laptop here, so right behind my camera, so I can see if any questions might be popping up as we go. So as you hop on the call, let me know who's here, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a tip of advice. I have discovered throughout this journey as a Beachbody coach that my love language is words of affirmation. So hearts, the like thing, when those are flying, I get more excited and I share the top secrets that I have. So that's just a little tip to you guys. Went and got my water. I got a couple, I guess you could call them props that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. But I'm excited. I've been looking forward to this date, this Monday night evening call for a long time since we started planning this. Like, excited to share my topic, excited about the topic which I have, which is called sacrifices. And one thing that I want to make sure that I do is I have a YouTube video that I have, and I'm going to tell you guys why I have it. I have a YouTube video called Sacrifices to Make Beachbody a Full-Time Income. And on my YouTube channel, I have that as the, I don't know what the word is, but it's the first video that a new subscriber or a new person on my channel sees. And the reason behind that, and you've heard that some of these things I'm going to be talking about with you guys, you've heard that throughout this journey, is to be able to create the volume that you guys are working towards creating in your team. With what we're learning this Dynasty Income Surge, you've got to have duplication. You've got to have people like you that duplicate what you're doing and what you're teaching and how you're acting. So that's the first video I have on my channel because I want people to understand the mindset and how much work it takes to create something of significance. So that's me leading into this. I'm going to take a big drink and we're going to get right to this because I have a ton of value and content that I want to give to you guys. So, as we're talking today, I want you to, as I tell different parts of my story and different stories, I want you guys to think about your own life, how that applies to you and how it can apply to, and take an honest look at your life. And make sure that your values and your actions are aligning with your values, what you believe in, and what you want for your life. That's going to be probably one of the biggest things that I can mention to you guys as we go through this. So, like I said, the topic is sacrifices. We're going into this. And usually, I've kind of been in the habit of like starting the story with like, this is how my life was. It was this and that. We're going to start out with the most important, not the most important, but I want to start out and just humbly say how Beachbody has completely changed our lives. You know, and I'm going to say this up front so I don't forget it later. Beachbody disclaimer, income disclaimer is Beachbody does not guarantee any level of success or income. It has to do with each individual coach's diligence, skills, and work. So, with that being said, I want to share with you guys humbly, like Lindsay shared in this post before, we have a team and a downline that does about 1 million volume of sales a week. We've made a few $1 million with Beachbody in 6 years. And some of the things that I just want to share recently that have happened in our lives. In the past week alone, we paid off like a $60,000 RV that we used to travel with our family. We paid off last week our cabin that we purchased back in 2013, which is one of my big dreams. And we just 2 days ago purchased Gabby's parents a brand new dream car that he had. And so when I say that like your dreams and your ability to contribute to the world can come true with Team Beachbody, hands down testimony of that up front. And that's why I wanted to share that with you guys up front so that you guys can understand, like when you listen to somebody, one important thing to think about when you're looking at what direction you want to take your life or where you want to spend your time, your energy, your effort, your skills, your money, it's important that you get advice from somebody that is at or a place that you want to be. So many times we take advice from people that are not where we want to be and we end up in the wrong place, in the wrong direction and going down the wrong path. So it's important that I share that with you guys up front so you guys know that there's some validation behind what I want to share with you guys. And I can tell you guys, if I was making $35,000 a year, which is what I made at my previous job, versus a 7-figure income, I would be just as happy with the $35,000 as I am with the 7-figure income because I'm doing something that I'm passionate about, that I love, and I have complete control of my time. So it's important as we go into these sacrifice talk today, this subject, that you think about what you actually want with your life. I read a study just a few days ago where it said, I think it was 87% of Americans are not engaged in their work, in their job. That means 13% of people actually care about and love what they do with their work. So when I look at that, I'm like, there's huge opportunity outside of the obesity epidemic that we're facing in diseases due to malnutrition and not understanding nutrition. There's like 87% of Americans need what we have financially. So with that being said, we're going to talk about sacrifices, and I want to show some perspectives of my life that made me make these changes. When I think back, I want you guys to understand my story a little bit. It wasn't just like one day I signed up as a Beachbody coach and I was all in. I was like, I did sign up and I was all in, but I was working hard at trying to start a traditional business before I became a Beachbody coach. Now, I didn't have the courage or the cash flow or the resources at the time financially to start, let's say, like Morgan has, to start a franchise or anything like that. I had a goal that one day maybe I could buy a franchise, but I began doing things that I was good at. I was an artist, so I began creating custom-made home signs because I worked in a steel factory. I programmed a laser cutting machine, and so I designed signs and I sold them. But what I can tell you guys is there was no residual tied to that. I loved doing it. I loved delivering that sign to somebody, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is just what I envisioned hanging above my garage or hanging on my cabin. And so, like, I fell in love with that, guys, but I would have to buy the money. I would have to spend the money on the time that it costs to use the machine. I would have to design it on AutoCAD, a programming, computer programming system, and it would take me like 20 hours, and then I would buy the material, then I would buy the time to cut it, and I wouldn't ever want to rip somebody off, and I would want them to have a good product. So I sold signs between like $120 and $150. And to me at that time, that was a lot of money. But the thing about that, guys, I profited like $15 to $20. And I would put in 15, 20, 25, 30 hours drawing and designing the sign, finishing it. Some of them were clocks, so I'd have to put clock components behind it and make it look really nice for them. And so, guys, that wasn't something I could expand. But so I tell you that so we can understand a little bit about my already trying to create something to be able to bring my wife home, which is the meat of the story. Some other things that a lot of people don't know is I was buying and selling things on Craigslist. I would buy Xboxes. I would buy like an Xbox with 20 games, and then I would clean them up and I would sell the games separately for $10. And I would sell the Xbox for like a $20 profit. I would do that. My friend owns a mortuary that he offered me at one time, to come help him pick up bodies at night, to go with him when he would have to go to the family, talk with them, and they would have to bring the body to the mortuary where he would prep it for the funeral. And so these were things I did. I had a friend that owned a music business, like a DJing business, and he would do concerts, and I would have to go after the show at 11 o'clock, 11:30, and work till 3 o'clock, taking down the equipment and loading his truck back up for $50, and then get back up at 5 o'clock for work. So I was always working hard and trying to earn money, but none of it had a residual effect to it. And that's the one huge different thing about Beachbody. So as we get started, I'm going to tell my story real briefly. It took me 8 months to become a Beachbody coach, and it's all about the confidence that you tell your story and how you tell your story that's going to help influence other people. One thing I want you guys to understand, and it's something I've learned, is that when two people meet, sorry, there's like banners coming down from text. When two people meet, whoever is more confident in what they have is going to influence the other. So I was 100% confident in my ability to work hard and to make things happen. So it took me 8 months to sign up as a coach because I was afraid of failing. I was afraid that I didn't have enough time. I was afraid because I didn't know how to use social media. I was afraid because I had some people write some horrible things to me, private message, when I began sharing my P90X transformation, and I put that on my blog and on my Facebook just a couple days ago. It is a rough one. Like, people read that and said that would have destroyed me. So I was afraid of those things, and those things compounding over time. And people ask me today, when did you start as a coach, Scotty? And I tell them I started 8 months after I should have started. It took me 8 months to make the decision to become a coach, and I had about 30 people try to recruit me to Team Beachbody. But it wasn't until I talked to Lindsay and I heard her story about being home with London, about the medical debt that she had, and just really connecting with why she was doing it, and her not being pushy, not being salesy. And what I want you guys to understand as well, like there was a time when there was a Beachbody coach sign up for $40, it was $40, right? They waived that. So I could sign up for $0, and I still told them no. That's how bad it was for me, like my fear of not signing up for this Beachbody coach thing. I could not, at the time, what I thought fit in $15.95 a month for the coach fee. I couldn't put that into my budget. So that's where I was at. We were sacrificing a lot of things with my family as I began. And the day that switched for me, when I decided that I was going to go all in, and I'm just going to tell this part briefly, was the day that 18 days after my birth of my third daughter, Alina. And I remember getting to work that morning. And that morning, guys, my fear of not knowing how to take care of my family became greater than my fear of failing as a Beachbody coach. And that day, I didn't just decide, like, I'm going to dabble in this. I'm going to try to make a few bucks. I'm going to try to make my $15.95 back. I said, I'm going to be one of the top coaches in Beachbody. I'm going to put in the work. I believe in myself. I have everything that it takes. I have all the resources. I'm going to go all in with this. So those are some of my stories I got started. And there was no out. There was no option for me of, if this doesn't work in a year, I'm out. It was, I'm going. And like Darren Hardy says, I'm going to the top, or I'm going to die on the side trying. And I'm even at that point still sometimes today in my life. And I want you guys to understand, from that day, from that decision, I have not missed a single month of Success Club 10. And for 4 years, Gabby's business has not missed Success Club 5. Never missed it. And I never plan to miss it. So what's wrong, I believe, is a lot of you guys haven't actually made that decision. Like a actual decision. And you've got to be kidding yourself if you want to build a business and make this happen if you haven't made that true decision. So the thing about it is, it only takes once to make a decision, and then it's managing that decision day to day after that. So with that being said, guys, I want to relate to you guys just a little bit, so you guys don't think it's like everything's fine and dandy and perfect and exciting, and every day is like rainbows and flowers shooting out of orifices. I don't know how to say that in the proper way. Guys, I, in the past, since August of last year, have lost 3 Star Diamond coaches to other companies and opportunities, and a few of them have taken some of my other leaders and some of my other upcoming rock stars. I face that just like every single one of you guys. Guys, I'm at negative SC1, and it's the 6th of the month. So I want that to sink in. I'm at negative SC1. Sorry, I've lost Star Diamond coaches. I, like many people in 2016, had a million volume a week with the team and went down to 800,000 a week. So I saw huge drops as well, but we're back up. So I want you guys to know that I face those just as well as you guys. Now we're going to get into the meat of this, and I plan really to take about 30 more minutes and really just get into the details of sacrifices. We're going to start specifically about some of the sacrifices that I made, guys. I sacrificed my time before becoming a coach. When I was afraid, I helped about 30 people get results with P90X before I ever became a coach. So I was working without getting paid far before I ever became a coach. And like the call I heard earlier today, this is a business where you work a lot in the beginning for a little, and in the end, you work. I don't want to say we don't work a lot, because I still work a lot because I love it, but you don't have to work as hard or put as much of that initial effort as you do in the end. And so I did that before. One thing I want you guys to know, before I signed up as a coach and in my first few months as a coach, this was my phone, guys. I want you to look at this. This is my phone. This thing, it's not even a smartphone. This little Nokia Express music phone. But this thing could be one of the key elements to the success that we created in my business, and I'm going to show you guys why. Many of you guys everybody almost has a smartphone, and you waste so much time scrolling, looking at other coaches' posts, other people's posts, getting into what we call the scroll hole, and not doing the business building activities. See, I didn't have that option. I had this thing right here, and it has a little MP3 card right here on the side, and what I put on that was the MP3 of Think and Grow Rich, Millionaire Next Door, The Slight Edge, and the 90 Days of Excellence calls by Craig Holiday. In my first year as a coach, I listened to all four of those about 60 times. I knew I would be the millionaire next door. I knew that I would be rich in health, relationships, and finances. I knew that my results would compound over time from that initial first $29 I made. If I could make $29 with this business, I could compound it into $1 million with this business. I had no doubt. Nobody could tell me that that could not happen because I had listened to those audios during that. Now, how is that related to a sacrifice? So I had been a musician for about 20 years of my life. I love music. So what did I sacrifice? I sacrificed when I was at work 12 hours a day, instead of listening to my favorite music, I listened to these audios all day long. Think and Grow Rich, I think, is 10 hours and 55 minutes on audio. I could listen to that book once a day, and I would have my headphones in, and when I had to take a call or talk to someone, I left one headset in and took the other out, wrote the note of what I needed to do, and it was still going in my ear. And that went on day after day after day. I had The Slight Edge as a disc in my car. It was a 15-minute drive to work. I listened to 15 minutes on the way to work, 12 hours at work, and then on the way home from work, I listened to it again. So that, you may not think of that as a sacrifice, but realistically it is, because music is a passion of mine. I've played music my whole life, and so it was a sacrifice for me to listen to these books, because I never listened to a single personal development book in my life. So that's one of the first sacrifices that I had to make. But guys, here's another thing. When I signed up as a coach with Lindsay, I didn't have a laptop at home. I didn't have a smartphone. I did not have internet in my home. So what I did is I went 3 houses down here to my friend Brian's house, and I did my coach training academy from his house. I did my Getting Started Right sitting at his place, talking on his landline to Lindsay to set my goals. So I didn't have any of these things at home when I started my business. And I see so many people like, oh, my internet's down, or oh, this is going on, I can't get to the coach training yet. And guys, I could just tell them, hey, that's not an excuse. This is what I did. This is what I did to make that happen. And I don't think I've really shared this before, but I didn't sign up. We didn't have challenge packs there, but I didn't sign up with the $40 coach business fee and the $89 at the time for Shakeology. I just paid $40. That was it. Because that's all I had in my account to pay for to sign up as a coach, was the extra $40. And then what I did is I took and I bought and sold those Xboxes and those Wiis, and I can tell you specifically what it was. It's like God aligns things in your life when you make a decision. When you decide to do something and you are committed to it and you make a real resolution, God and the universe will bring those things to you if you put in the work. I made the real resolution, and it happened to be that I found on Craigslist a deal to buy 3 Wiis for, I think it was $200. No, it was $300. 3 Wiis for $300. I took those 3 Wiis, I cleaned them up, I put them back on Craigslist and on my Facebook, and I sold them each for $150, and I profited $150. $50 profit on each of those, and I got my Shakeology, and I went all in on my business. So I had to make those sacrifices. Like, I'm trying to build a business, I'm buying and selling things on Craigslist, because too many people are like, oh, I don't have money to get Shakeology yet, or I don't have this or that, and that's a bunch of crap. Because if you, like, this is a quote from Tony Robbins, you have all the resources in the world, but it's useless unless you're resourceful. So you've got to be resourceful with what you have. So that was a sacrifice that I had to make. And then, you know, we've talked about goals, so I'm not going to talk about goals of that, but it's so important that you set goals all along the way. My first goal was set to get internet in my house. The next goal, to buy a used laptop on Craigslist. The next goal, and so on and so forth, just like that, to get a smartphone. And I set one small goal after another, and I set those goals. I see too many people, like we're talking about you guys who want to build these huge businesses, right, and sacrifices are important to do that. But I see too many people that are not grateful for what you have. Too many people that are only making $200 a week that are complaining about your business. Guys, $200 a week is $800 a month. That will probably change 90% of American households' lives if you could give them an opportunity to make an extra $800 to $1,000 a month. And I think a lot of times we're discrediting that that's how bad most of the Americans are, and that's why people are working overtime. That's why people are having their spouses work. So remember gratitude as I talk about the sacrifices that we're going to make today. So I did my GSR, I did my coach training from my neighbor's house, and I sacrificed music, one of the things that I love the very most. So you guys can understand, like, I had a deep why. Like, I told every single person, I'm going to drop you guys a bunch of little bombs as we go, but I told your story is so powerful. We all have the same opportunity, the same product, the same trainings, all of that stuff, guys. So personal development, like, you've got to make yourself valuable and attractive so that somebody comes to you and wants your help. And it's, yes, you have to grow, but it's so simple. One of the most important things is just somebody wants to be with somebody that they know will be there. So you've got to create a track record for yourself of showing up for your business every single day. That alone is going to change your business. So one thing that I want you guys to understand, now we're going to kind of move into the time, like sacrificing the time. So those are some of the small sacrifices. I want you guys to understand, because like you see our life now, and it's like I've been a full-time coach now for 5 years. And I'll get into the emotional part of that later because I can't be breaking up this early in the call. When I began as a coach, I was going into work at about 5:30 every morning. I was getting home at 5 o'clock. There were times when I could get off at 4:30, but for the majority of the time it was 5 o'clock, working 12 hours a day. My wife, Gabby, went to work at 3, and she worked till 11. So you do the math, there's a 2-hour gap between when she left at 3 and I got home at 5. She would drop the kids off at the neighbors. We would pay them to babysit. I would pick them up when I got home. There were times when I worked it out with my boss where she would drive the kids to her work. I would pick the kids up. We would just swap cars. Leave them in the car seat. I'd hop in her car, leave my car there. She goes into work, and then I would drive home with the kids. Then from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock, I'm with the kids, 100% with the kids. And then 8 o'clock, what my goal was 8 o'clock to 10:30, I would work on my business. Business building activities, talking to people, building relationships with people, inviting people. And so I committed to that. And I didn't work it 5 days a week. I didn't work it 6 days a week. I worked it 7 days a week. Okay? 7 days a week. But here's the thing I want you guys to understand on top of that, so you guys can really understand the type of sacrifices that I had to make in this time. I also had to be proof the products work. And you cannot do P90X with 3 little girls under the age of 4 in the house. It's impossible. So I would get up at 3:30, I would skip the stretch, and I would do P90X. I would shower in like 3 minutes, and I would run to work and get there just on time for work at 5. So I'd get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock, depending on how long the workout was that day, be to work at 5:30. When I got there, I would work until 9:30. That was my break. And on my break, I was so exhausted of this work schedule. This was before Beachbody Coach as well, and raising the kids by myself at night while Gabby was at work. I would sleep 8 minutes during my break. I would power nap. I could literally fall asleep that fast and then wake up that fast to an alarm and run inside. So I sacrificed that 10-minute power nap, and I would get on a 10-minute call with a prospect, a challenger, or one of my coaches every single day. If I could not get on the phone with somebody, I would write a post. I would check into my challenge group and add some value. Then on my lunch break was 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. Guys, from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, I had this huge comforter, and every day I would do the same thing. I would nap. I could fall asleep in like an instant because I was so exhausted, and this is when I was building my business. I would fall asleep, wake up, and run inside. Now, I had to switch that. So now instead of napping for an hour, I blocked that 1 hour into 4 15-minute increments that were for coach opportunity calls, challenge prospect opportunity calls, and also and mentoring calls with my coaches. And if those calls fell through or I could not schedule, at that time was specifically for creating content that would help attract future people. So I would blog or make a video. So then I would go back to work. I would get home at 5 o'clock. I would raise my kids, and I was 100% present. I didn't use my phone at all when I was with my kids between 5 and 8 o'clock. But one of the sacrifices that I did make that I wasn't going to share, that I think back to what I was doing, I really had to go back there, is I did shake and shares, like home parties. I would go to people's houses, share Shakeology with them, share my success story with them. The same thing when I signed up a new coach, I would have them set up a home party. I would go share my story and help them share story and share Shakeology, get them confident, inviting. And sometimes I did 1, 2 of those a week, and I would bring my kids with me. And there was power in that. You know why? Because my wife was at work, and I would have my baby in the car seat, my 2 other ones sitting there with me, ages 2 and 4, and I would say, hey, I lost 38 pounds. Here's the picture with P90X in 90 days. I found out, told the story, right, of Lindsay. I found out that she did this. I found out that I could also, if I helped enough people get results like I did, that I could be able to bring my wife home from her night job. And you guys can see it right here. I got my kids with me. And because I'm going to help you with your P90X and your insanity and help you guys get results, she's not going to have to work at night anymore. And so people bought into that story. They're like, I'm working extra shifts at the restaurant, and heck, I need to lose 50 pounds. Heck, I don't want to take extra shifts anymore. I don't want to send my daughter to daycare so I have to go to work at the front desk of this office anymore. I'm in. Guys, I was just so excited about it. I didn't even know what I was talking about. I didn't know the compensation plan. Guys, when I started, I didn't know this was a network marketing company. I literally thought I had to sell 300 P90Xs and Shakeologies to make the $10,000 that I told Lindsay I needed to make to bring Gabby home. But people are like, dude, I don't know what it is you're talking about, but I'm in. Like, I'm in. I'm going to do this with you. So that tells you a huge thing. Like, your confidence of knowing where you're going and your results in showing this works and your passion and belief are going to be probably one of the biggest things that you do. So I sacrifice time by taking my kids with me, taking them to do these calls. I was a shy, quiet person, so that took me getting out of my comfort zone. But if I didn't have, and we also did a fit club, so you guys know every Tuesday night I did the same. I took my kids. They worked out with me. One sat in the car seat and we worked out. And sometimes I had to work out holding the baby. But I did that every single week. So, but aside from that, guys, I did not scroll on my Facebook from 5 to 8 to 10 to 5 to 8. I shut it off completely. But I did sacrifice by going out and going to people's homes, working out with them, taking my kids with me. But the thing is, they got to see the meat of the story right there in the moment with me at that time. And that's why I believe that's probably the time we grew the fastest. Because we did grow a 6-figure business in 14 months with Team Beachbody. So now let's get to it. Now I worked from 8 o'clock to 10:30 in the beginning. From 8:30 to 10 o'clock, 8:30 to 10:30, I invited. It was all in, no distractions, no scrolling Facebook, building relationships, inviting people to be on this journey with me. That's all I did. That's all I did, guys. In that time is I just invited people, friend requested people, started conversations, asked, added value, and helped people no matter what. And I did that every day. Now, as the team began to grow, guys, about 6 months into the business, I had enough income to bring my wife home, but we weren't quite ready to do that yet. But then the team started to grow. I needed to come up with better systems. I needed to handle more messages. And that grew to the point where I began working from 8 o'clock every night to 12:30 at night, sometimes 1 o'clock. So one of my favorite things even today is to nap. That's one of my favorite things. And sleep is, like, when I lay in bed at night, it's the best feeling in the world. I'm like, yes, I get to sleep. And so I had to sacrifice at night sleep. I had to sacrifice sleep by working every day, 7 days a week, from 8 o'clock to 12:30 at night, okay? So I want you guys to hear that. 8 o'clock to 12:30 every single night, 7 days a week. Every night, guys. Not just when I felt like it. Like Miguel talked about in the beginning, I didn't base my decision to work on how I felt. I based it on the initial decision that I made that I was bringing my wife home from work. So, with that being said, that was a lot of sacrifice right there. But some of the other sacrifices that I had to make so that you guys can think about yours. So let's talk about one. I sacrificed my hour lunch nap. I sacrificed the 10-minute nap that I used to take. When I had to sacrifice, here's the big thing. I wanted to be a professional baseball player when I was younger. So I loved baseball. I was playing on a softball team, and we played twice a week. And now, in order for me to play an hour softball game, it took about 2.5 hours because I had to go drive 15 minutes to get there, stretch, warm up, throw a ball, play, pack the kids up, come home. So that's 2.5 hours. 2 times a week is 5 hours that I realized that I could be working on my business. So I had to stop playing softball at night so that I could go do home parties and go to Fit Club and be able to raise my kids from home and keep that balance. So one story I want you guys to tell you guys, I remember as a new coach going to my softball game, and I brought a little flyer with my results on it, inviting everybody on my team to our Fit Club. And I remember every single person crumpled up the paper and just tossed it in the garbage can. And a couple of them made fun of me. They're like, dude, I don't want to see this picture of you shirtless. Crumpled it up. You guys know how guys are. And threw it away. Guys, so that's going to lead me into one of my other topics that I was going to leave for a little bit later. So right there, I've talked about some of the sacrifices of the time I made. 7 days a week, working every night, 8 o'clock to 12:30. Guys, no, you don't have to do that and burn yourself out with Beachbody, but if you need to make this happen in your life, or you need to make it happen quickly, then you need to make sacrifices. And one of the things that you need to do in this instance is one of the best exercises you can do is write down every activity that you do, every place that you spend your time. Write down all these activities, and then the next thing you need to do is mark off the activities that don't move you towards your goal. If your goal is to become an elite coach, or to bring your spouse home, or to replace your income, or to pay off your mortgage or your medical debt, or whatever it is, if those activities you're doing don't align and bring you closer to that goal, you need to check them off. And now, one of the hardest sacrifices to make is like baseball, softball was a hobby to me, right? So it's like you want to have joy in your life and have fun, do things you enjoy, right? But for me at the time, that hobby, if you guys can think big picture, if I can cut that hobby out of baseball, and this is what I told my coach at the time, who's now one of my 2-star diamonds. Now, right, it took him time, but I told him, dude, here's the thing, man. I won't be able to play softball anymore, but I'm going to work hard on this for 2 years. I guarantee you, after 2 years, I can play softball every day of the week, all day long if I want to. So there shows some confidence as well as where I was going to go and what it makes. So if you guys have hobbies that you're having a hard time letting go, there's a picture I've seen. I wish I had it. It shows this little kid, a picture of Christ with this huge teddy bear behind him, and you have this little bear, and he wants you to give this little bear away to him. And he's like, no, but I don't want to give it away, or however it explains. And there's this huge teddy bear behind him. I think of it like that. Guys, if you have a hobby that you love, art, serving for your church, or whatever it is, I don't need to completely go away from that, but if you can look bigger, like if you build this business, you can spend every day of your life in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and you can do that hobby for fun. You can do that hobby as service, as charity. Okay, so that's one huge thing that you guys need to understand on bigger picture, is sometimes you got to let go of something smaller now, and you're going to be given something larger in the future that will bless your life. So that's a sacrifice you have to make right now. So speaking about the friends that when it crumpled up the paper and threw my Fit Club invite into the garbage can, I fought my entire life to feel accepted, and I've done a lot of horrible, bad choices in my life because of that. Trying to fit in, trying to seek and find self-love in places that are not healthy. And so for me to get that in the beginning was extremely hard. So I had to grow some tough skin. I had to grow as a person and understand my worth and my value. And that's still a process that I'm going through even today. But this is sacrifice number 2. We talked about time sacrifices, sacrificing hobbies. If you're watching seasons of shows on TV and you say you have a goal, you're kidding yourself, because you're putting that show in front of your business. So there's things like that. Write them down. Check off everything that doesn't align with your end goal and get rid of them in your life. And that includes friends, that includes activities, that includes watching shows, that includes naps at times, whatever it is, you need to get rid of activities that don't align you with your goals. So my sacrifice number 2, and this was probably the hardest one for me, but that has blessed my life the most, is I had to sacrifice social acceptance from ignorant people. I want you guys to write that down. Social acceptance from ignorant people. Okay? I lost some good friends in the beginning. Now, some of them are they're working towards becoming my friend again, because they've seen how true I stayed to this and what I do and why I do this. But one of my best friends at my old job, we used to go on double, triple dates, completely tried to destroy my reputation at work because I was doing this Beachbody thing on the site. The guys making fun of me at the softball game. The post I put on Facebook just 2 or 3 days ago about a mother of some friend from high school that wrote me about how I must be blue in the face from talking about myself and P90X and my wife and my family all the time. So I had to sacrifice social acceptance from ignorant people. So I want you guys to think about that. Are you willing to sacrifice that? And guys, some of the biggest critics in your life are going to be your close family, friends, and relatives. So understand that right now. But stay true to who you are and what you want in your life. And if you can sacrifice that right now and stay true and help people and be genuine about helping people, they're going to come around and see what you stand for. And many of them are going to come back to you and they're going to want some help in the future. So social acceptance from ignorant people. Okay? So I hope that helps you guys on that. Next, one of the big sacrifices that I had to make that I don't believe I've ever talked about on a public video like this for you guys is, and I'm not trying to say, don't, there's this thing, build for volume, build for rank, and I say build for all of it. So one of the biggest things that I believe I sacrificed in the beginning was a little bit of going for rank. I was working towards rank, yes, but I sacrificed time, spending time understanding volume and how the business worked, and searching for leaders inside of my team, inside of my organization that were coming into my team through downline, through downline, through downline. And once I could find them, I would reach out to them and help mentor them as well. Even though if I could help them become Success Club All-Stars, help them become Diamond Coaches, it did not benefit me personally for rank, for going from 1-star to 2-star to 3-star. I went Diamond in 93 days. It took me 14 months to go to Diamond Coach. But what I can tell you guys is because I did this, and this could be a whole nother training, this sacrifice of understanding volume and looking every day. I clicked on the volume for left side, on the right side, and anybody that had more than 90 volume points, I was reaching out to them, learning about them, learning their story, and looking for builders, people that would build this business with me. So with that being said, I remember specifically it was a coach 4 levels deep that was the first coach ever to hit Success Club 10 on my team aside from me. 4 levels deep. So one of my coaches sponsored someone, they sponsored someone, and they sponsored this person. I remember I sacrificed an hour to do my own little getting started right, get to know this coach and who they were, and mentoring them. And that person became a Success Club 10 All-Star. That person became a 6-figure income. And I can literally say that doing this with a few coaches is what took our business from a brand new coach to a 6-figure earning coach in 14 months. We were a 6-figure coach at the time we went from Diamond to 1-star Diamond. So we were that 6-figure Diamond coach. So you're going to have, that's a sacrifice that you guys could make. And one thing I want you guys to understand about this business, it was kind of hard for me to accept in the beginning. And man, call's going so fast. So one of the biggest sacrifices that I had to make when doing that is searching for these people that are creating volume and these leaders. And one thing to understand, and this was from Darren Hardy about developing leadership, is we're each given a number, 1 to 10. 10 is like a rock star recruiting leader coach on your team. So what he said is that you usually only recruit within 2 levels of your current level, and you can only usually grow between 2 to 3 levels. So if you're a 5 right now as a leader, you'll probably never grow to a 10. You can with a lot of time, but not like in 1 year, 2 years. It's going to take you 7 years to become a professional. But we're talking about building this business fast. So if you're a 5 and you want to build a strong team, you've got to attract some 7s, and then realize that those 7s can attract anywhere from 5s to 9s. And if they attract 9s, those people are going to attract 7s to 10s. So that's where your rock stars are coming. You are most likely at that current place in your business as a 5, not going to attract a 10. But through your downline, you can begin to attract those people in the beginning until you can grow to be that 10 if you're willing to be in this for the long run, which you should be if you're on this call. So I consider myself SC10 from the beginning. I consider myself an 8 in the beginning who's grown to a 10, but with still need for improvement. So it was important for me to identify those leaders in my organization. So that took sacrifice for me to be able to find and identify those leaders until I could grow into the 10 that could attract the leaders later in my business, which made it a little bit easier to grow volume and grow the team. So that's number 2, is sacrificing your own rank a little bit to make sure that you're searching for finding builders in your team. I want you guys to understand, I did that just the other day. I ran a PV report for our team, and she's like, I don't know how many levels deep. She's like 5 or 6 levels deep. I found a coach just last week who hit Success Club 55, who works full-time, and so I reached out to her, sent her some voice messages. I'm setting up a call with her. I'm getting her to teach on the team call. But it takes extra effort to understand your numbers, your business, and to make the effort to reach out and develop that. That person hitting Success Club 5, if we can create the long-term vision for her, she could become a top 10 coach, right? But that takes a little bit of sacrifice on your own end, putting time into others that aren't PS coaches that create your own rank advancements. I'm not saying don't go for rank advancement, don't work with your coaches, because you need to do that, but that's something you need to understand as well. So the last one that I want to share about that is about sacrifices is I want to make sure that you guys take away something from this, that you actually write down the things that you're doing that don't align with your priorities and with your goals, and be able to mark those down and check them off as I'm not going to do this anymore until I am at my goal. Okay? And I'm going to share with you guys, like I've shared some of these sacrifices with you, and I want to slow this down for a minute. I want you to visualize. I want you guys to shut your eyes where you're at right now, unless you're driving, like listening on the phone or whatever. Don't shut your eyes in that case, because that would not be good. But I want you to close your eyes a little bit, and I want you guys to think about this. I want you guys to try to put yourself in my shoes for just a minute. I have been a full-time, in June, it's been 5 years since I walked away from my full-time job. So for 5 years, I've never had to answer to anybody on when I can work, when I can take the time off, when I can sleep in, when I can take my daughter to the movie at 10 o'clock in the morning, when I can do this, when I can go on vacation, any of that. We're taking our kids to Hawaii for 33 days this summer, and I'll be able to work from the beach, spending time with the kids. So I want you to think about this, like, if you guys could just spend, most of you probably, if you're working or your husband's work, have 2 to 3, maybe 4 weeks of vacation a year. Let's say 4 weeks, 1 month. If you guys could have 1 month of doing exactly what you want with your time, not wasting your whole Sunday worrying about getting to work on Monday, waking up at the hour that you want to wake up, spending the time you want with your kids without having to rush them, being able to read a book with your spouse before you get started on your work, whatever it is that is like your ideal day. And this is an activity I'm going to have you guys do, but I'm going to get you guys there for a moment right now. I want you guys to envision what your ideal day looks like. Like, what does it look like? Like, if money was not an issue, finances were not an issue, what does your ideal day look like? What would you do with your time? And I want you to write it out in vivid detail. If you want to make it even more powerful, make yourself a video and talk about what your day is going to look like. But I can tell you guys, if you guys could live the life that Gabby, myself, and our 5 kids are doing right now, if you could live that for 30 days and experience the joy, the happiness of not worrying about finances, not worrying about having to be a job, being home at this time, sending kids to the babysitter, paying off this debt, that debt, and having all those things on your mind all the time. If you could envision that and feel that, if you could be in these shoes for 30 days, even for 2 weeks, you would make every single possible sacrifice I've talked about today to make that happen. Hands down, if you could experience that and actually know what it's like, you would make those sacrifices. We've been able to, my mom's worked for me full-time for 4 years. My dad, we were able to retire him. He's got my kids right now, playing with them instead of working on copy machines for the next 7 years. Like, this business is a blessing. It will literally save your life. If we didn't have this business, some of the recent trials that we've been through in our family, if I didn't have this business, they would have destroyed us. So if you could just get there, that's the activity that I want you to do, is I want you to get there. I want you to put yourself, and that's called visualizing it, guys, visualizing what that's going to be like. And that's going to create something strong enough for you to continue working. And it's going to take putting into perspective some things, guys. If I had not done this, I would have had to work at that job 12 hours a day, most Saturdays, for the next 40 years. And I know I'm a hard worker. I could get to the top of that company and be a head foreman or a head engineer, but I would have only made $25 an hour. But I would have been a slave to that factory 12 hours a day for the next 40 years. So to me, that seemed like a bigger sacrifice. Sacrificing my entire life, 40 years of my life, seemed like a much harder sacrifice than doing 1 year, 2 years, 3 years of working 7 days a week, 5 hours a day to build this business and put my whole heart and my mind into it. So I'm going to recap the activities so you don't forget that. Number one, figure out your current activities and make sure that your activities align with your goal. And your goal is going to be your ideal life. That's your second activity. You're going to write down your ideal day, what your day looks like. And if you want to really get in purpose every day, every morning before you start your work, you should read that or watch that selfie video you make of your ideal video so you can envision that and make that true to your life every single day. And that's going to create a compelling vision enough for you to where you're going to be resourceful and use all the resources that you guys have seen. And then number three, on top of that, of doing that, you are going to take this away, and it's going to be tough, it's going to be hard, and you're going to have to push forward and overcome a ton of obstacles, but that's what's going to make you stronger. I'm going to leave you guys with one last phrase that I hope can impact you guys on a level that I think is holding many people back as you make these sacrifices. Okay, I'm not speaking this video so that one of you guys change your life. My intention is that you guys all change your lives, that you do something incredible with your life, that you celebrate the journey, each and every part of the journey. You celebrate when you make $500 a week. You celebrate when you make $500 a month. Guys, I counted in bonus cycles. Like, I would fill my car up on the way to work and be like, man, that took me 4 bonus cycles to fill my gas tank. So as you go with this, guys, you're going to have people, like, don't chase people down. Like, you don't have to have the perfect scripts. People are going to come into your life that are meant to come into your life if you're decided and committed and confident that this opportunity, this business, and you can add value to people. And the one thing that I want you guys to know is that you cannot please everybody in this business, and it's going to be up to you to do that. You've got to establish your goals, your purpose, what your ideal day is going to look like. You got to cut out all the crap you're doing in your life that is not moving you forward towards your goals. You got to stand up for yourself and stop worrying what everybody thinks about you. That includes your coaches as well. And in order for you to be the best at something, you have got to be willing to not be the best at everything. In order to be the best at something, you've got to be willing to not be the best at everything, and some people aren't going to appreciate that. Guys, I am not organized. I'm not the best at a lot of things, but I love people, and I show up, and I add as much freaking value as I can on Facebook, YouTube, and a blog every freaking single day, no matter what type of struggle I'm going through. And once you choose, like I told you in the beginning, this is a choice, and then you manage the choice every single day. It's up to you to go after that vision of that ideal life and the goal for you with such greatness and relentless ambition, as Carl Deichler would say, that everyone around you sees that you're serious. But once you guys choose, it's up to you to go after that. And if you can get focused on that and focused on these business building activities you learn, and that focus is going to serve you. And saying no to things is going to serve you as well. And I mean, that's saying no to the softball game, saying no to the PTO or whatever those things are called. Saying no to all of those things right now because they don't align with you saving your family's life financially, bringing your husband home from his second job, bringing you home from your job, and being away from your kids. And when you can do that, and you're taking your life back from people that think that they can decide what's right for you. And when you do that, that's going to serve you. So my challenge to you guys right now is to take your life back. Take your minutes back, take your hours back, take your days back by lining your priorities with what you want out of your life, and do it right now. And take deliberate action to create that life that you will love. And guys, here's the truth about that. The world's a tough place, and the world needs more people like that. And if every single person on this call can do that, we are going to continue to be the best, strongest team and tribe in Beachbody. And this market is not saturated. I can go to Walmart right now. Brigida's from my hometown. I'm from here. Micah Folsom there's 2 15-star diamonds, $3 million coaches in a town of 50,000. And I can still go to Walmart and find 9 people that don't have Beachbody on demand and a coach that's helping them. So, well, everybody else is complaining about market saturation or not enough people, I'm saying I'm going to go get those people. They're going to be in my downline, and we're going to grow this team from 45,000 to 100,000. And so, but that's a decision, despite all the struggles and trials that have happened. And one thing I can tell you guys, I have been in the place that many of you guys have been of struggles of life, but I could tell you that instead of hiding in a hole or going MIA, the ability to share the struggles and to work in this passion of mine has been able to save me and help me stay on track. And the thing about that is being relatable is you're going to impact more people. So be true to yourself. Be true to helping other people. Make the sacrifices. You have 3 takeaways that you're going to do, and the world needs more of that, guys. So I hope this helps. Comment below with some of the sacrifices, some of the things that you're going to get rid of. I want to see what they are so you can hold yourself accountable to everybody in this group. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of these calls, guys. I know I didn't teach you anything about strategy other than going in and looking for leaders and counting your gas tank with bonus cycles so you can understand what it means to build a team in a bonus cycle like that. But that's what residual will do. Residual is what's going to change your life for the long term. I have a huge vision to continue forward with building this business, creating leaders, and we have some validation that we have 2 personally sponsored million club members as well, which is an absolute blessing. We have a goal, so I'm putting it out there to the world. 100,000 coaches, but also continuing to be never missing elite consecutive year after year. And another goal on top of that is my 5 children. I'm going to create them. I'm going to help develop them in the areas of their gifts. They're reading books with us. They're seeing what we're doing. They have their own YouTube channel. And people, I'm going to say this for sacrifices, guys. We work probably 5 hours a week on their YouTube channel right now. We don't get paid anything, but I can tell you they're going to stay consistent at it. They're going to have a couple million subscribers in 5, 6, 7 years, and we're going to create a business for my daughters out of their YouTube channel. Aside from that, we're going to continue putting time into people, developing other people, and that's where the real reward comes. But I love you guys. Hope this helps you guys, and we'll see you guys later.